Good morning. My name is Mitch Lysis. I'm with Kunkel Engineering. I'm a consultant for the City of West Bend. And just so you know, this mic is actually not projecting out across the room. It's more for show or actually for the TV or the video that they're creating right now for this presentation. So the purpose of today basically is to get everybody in the room. We had a meeting last night as well, but get everybody in the room to give you guys the opportunity to, one, hear what our schedule is looking like now that we have a contractor on board. We've got some more details of their processes and procedures, but two, to give you guys an open floor as well to speak and raise any questions or concerns that you might have that might happen during the duration of this project. So that being said, I want to introduce Todd Dorner. He is our general contractor. He will help out with some of the more specific things that I can't cover, maybe additional details within their schedule, whatever it might end up being. We have Jess Wilds here. She's with the city. She'll be covering some additional information regarding maybe some meetings that will be held on a weekly basis that you guys can participate in that will give you guys some general updates of the project throughout the duration of the project. And then we have some other players in here as well. Hopefully, if there's any other questions that we can't answer, that they'd be here to help out with that as well. But anyways, in general, and I apologize for some of you that have been to the previous meetings that we've held, but I just want to give you guys, in general, scope of the work, and then I'm going to try to follow that along with a timeline as well. So for this project, we are right now scheduled to start April 3rd, a couple weeks from right now or less. That first day or two, what you're going to see is them setting up some erosion control, traffic control, where they'll be basically, the traffic control, what we're doing is we're actually going to be shutting down Main Street. So that will happen on April 3rd. That will begin on April 3rd. What that means is we are looking at not allowing just the general traffic to go through there. If there are businesses that park in the back closer to the river, if there are residents that also do the same, they'll be able to get in and out through there. But in general, we're trying to keep the general public out of there. They'll have to access the area, the shops, by walking. Also, what will begin that first week is water main work. They're going to be starting at the very south end at Walnut Street. On that day when they begin that work, which I believe is scheduled for like Wednesday or Thursday, Wednesday, the 5th. So they would actually have a short shutdown, so it will be affecting some of the businesses. Those businesses that will be affected, they will be notified at least 24 hours in advance. Since we've got plenty of notice, probably even earlier than that, you might see those notices be going out on that Monday right away.
Is that for shutting water off, you said?
That's for shutting water off, and that's to do a main tie-in that they're going to be doing in that intersection. That water main work will last for roughly about a month. They're going to be bringing in a second crew the second week to assist with both water main work, but also begin on some storm sewer work, because the water main work will begin going to the north. The storm sewer, they're going to start down in that intersection as well and work their way north, so they're going to kind of be chasing each other throughout the project. If they start catching up, they'll probably jump back on some services that will be going up to each of the businesses that are out there. Continuing through the project, as they go, they're going to be getting into, there's a little bit of sanitary work and so forth, but eventually we're looking at, I guess, for all the underground work that we do have scheduled, we're looking at completing that by about the second or third week of June. So there's quite a bit of underground work out there, and then once that's done, we'll start into the street excavation, and I'll get into that in a minute. One of the other things that you'll see probably prior to even Dorner being out there is Parks and Forestry will be out on site. They'll possibly even next week to start removing trees. I know DPW is looking at getting in there, and they're going to start removing possibly some trash cans, bike racks, and so forth. The week that Dorner is starting up, we'll start removing some of the signage that's out there. That might even happen next week as well. So all of that will be taking place even beginning next week prior to them showing up to start their project. Getting into the street excavation, and trying to give you guys some detail on that, what that all includes is they're going to be leaving the pavers, the sidewalk in as long as we possibly can, where those removals probably won't even happen until like September-ish. What we're looking for the street excavation is we're going to be digging out to subgrade, proof rolling, bringing in new base course, and moving our way down the street. So at any given time, we'll probably have about maybe 200 feet of the roadway open. But what that includes for that excavation is everything from about a foot or two on the backside of the curb all the way through the project area. So everything beyond that those pavers, the sidewalk will remain in place until we get to the concrete flat work. That's hopefully to help assist people to get in and out of your facilities and so forth. So, concrete work. So with that being said, the curb and gutter will go in starting, we're looking at right now on our schedule, about the third week of August. The curb and gutter work is probably about a week to 2 weeks worth of work. Once that's complete, we have some new poles going up, a lot of underground cabling that needs to be run for that, electric work and other items. But anyways, that will end up being installed between the time that the curb and gutter goes in to the time that we start the flat work. And so as I mentioned, flat work meaning all the concrete sidewalk and so forth. We right now are looking at our schedule for the flat work starting about that first week of September. And what that will all include is we're looking at taking out about a block at a time of the sidewalk or the pavers that are there, and then getting the concrete crew in there to get that all formed up, poured, and then move to the next section as well. So we'll do that kind of in phases as we move through the project. Again, just to help try to get everybody, access to their places and so forth. At any time, if you're going to be restricted access to the front of your building, whether that's utility work happening, whether that's concrete work happening, you'll get a notification letting you know when that's going to happen. So after the concrete work's done, the flat work's done, that will last probably the whole month of September. That's when we come in and we do any final restoration, we finalize the poles, and then the last thing to happen would be the asphalt paving along with pavement markings that'll happen after that. So right now, from beginning to end, we're looking at a start date of April 3rd and finalizing about October 20th. With regards to the utilities and possible shutdowns of water, that will happen. As I mentioned, the first one will happen on the 5th. There will be several other times that we'll have to make some of those tie-ins. At all the intersections, we'll have tie-ins, so there'll be shutdowns that'll happen. Again, you'll be notified at any time that there's a shutdown for your service, because we will be running new services up to your building. When that happens, you'll be notified as well. Todd mentioned last night to the group that we had here, he's going to do his best to have his foreman stop in or himself stop in to some of those critical businesses, the restaurants, the beauty salons, whatever it might end up being, to just say, hey, when's a good time for you guys to get your water shut down? Because typically that time period is about an hour, 2 hours.
Depending on what it is.
Depending on the size of the service and so forth. He mentioned, and not that this is always ideal, but what we could do is maybe prep the night before, and if we'll be starting probably about 6 o'clock in the morning. I should have said that earlier, but we could get out there real early in the morning and then get that service tied in, so you'll be up and running hopefully by 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Contractor work hours, they're looking at starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, working till about 7-ish at night. They'll be working Monday through Friday. That Friday will probably be a little bit earlier. They typically we'll start shutting down, cleaning up for the weekend about 1 o'clock or so in the afternoon. That way they can get home to their families for the weekends too. Right now we don't anticipate any work on the weekends. When they do have like a holiday before or after that weekend, Dorner usually will give them maybe an extra day off around that time. So, but either way, their schedule is Monday through Friday. You're looking at about 6 to 7. Did I get everything, you think, for the most part?
Only one with the water services, talking about with the pavers, that might be an area in the sidewalk that the pavers will probably come out up to the buildings in order to get your water service to one back in, and then they'll be filled back up with gravel, so it can be a walk-through surface, so.
Yep. Anything we disturb in that walkway area we'll replace with a gravel surface that you guys can, that people can pass through.
What about lateral hookups into the buildings? There's some mention about the building owners having to contract with a plumber?
So my understanding was there was a letter that went out, and that was, I believe that's if you wanted to do any additional work extending into your business, where if you wanted to update, because we did have some people reaching out saying, hey, I've got to update this or that within my building. How can I do this? Well, we're actually going to be working within probably 5 feet of your foundation, so that the rest of that work that's going to happen beyond that, that would be on your plumber if you do need any additional work. If we see something, we'll definitely, that's concerning or anything like that, we'll definitely reach out to the businesses and let you guys know that. Sure, go ahead.
What's being done with the sanitary sewers?
So, to be honest, back in, I believe it was 81 or 3 it was, that they did a reconstruction of the downtown at that time. And there was PVC pipe that was put in at that time. We are not looking at doing any of the sanitary sewer at this time, except for a small little piece that we found in there that looks like it needs some updating. So we're still trying to identify whether that's a cross connection, because it may be hooked up to some storm laterals instead of the sanitary. So we're still deciding whether that work needs to still be done. Ma'am?
So I'm representing the beauty service industry. 24-hour notice is not very ideal. We have clients we have to reschedule. What can we do about having a better notice of that?
What time do you open in the mornings, I guess, would be a question.
We're by appointment, and
By
we're all
appointment.
going to be different. I mean, there's a lot of beauty services downtown, so it's all going to be different. I mean, I understand, I appreciate that you're trying to work around that, and early morning, we probably are not working. But if we have to reschedule, or the health department requires me to have water, I can't wait till the last day. And I'm pretty sure all the beauty providers in here would agree to that, so.
Sure. I guess we'll do our best to provide you additional notice. Like I had mentioned earlier, there will be weekly meetings. We'll be providing some updates to the city, and during those weekly meetings, we can give you an idea of where the contractor is going to be working for that week. I think we're definitely, knowing your comment right now, we're definitely going to pay close attention to that and say, okay, we may be in this area this week. Let's try giving them a little bit of a notice that it might be either Wednesday or Thursday that we'll have possibly a shutdown, and we'll work from there. You should only truly have probably, I would think, 2 shutdowns throughout the project.
Except for emergencies.
And I'll get into that.
And if we're saying Wednesday or Thursday though, so I'm going to cancel all my clients for Wednesday and all my clients for Thursday, not knowing what time.
And I wish I could tell you an exact time. We're going to do our best to give you a pinpoint that time, but I can't do that at this point.
That's going to hurt really bad. I hope you guys realize.
I understand that. I do understand that.
I was just wondering, how are we going to be notified? Will it be by mail or personally email?
Well, there'll probably be some notifications that we can send out through the city. So they've been doing actually some mass emailing. So if you haven't been getting those emailings, make sure that you get your email to Jess or on that sign-in sheet there. She'll add you to that. Otherwise, we do have our contractors will either stop in the business, hand out like a little notification saying the timeline. So a lot of times we could give you, for those water main tie-ins that we do, we say, hey, we're starting at 8 o'clock. where the water will be shut off will be done, or we anticipate being done by noon, where you should have water back on. So we'll try to give you a time period for that as well. Yeah.
You kind of covered it, but I just want to get back to maybe more specific. There is a period of time before any of this excavation occurs when the road will be closed, but there's certain access you're going to allow. Is that like the UPS guys and mail and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And then, okay, if that's a yes, you want to say it out loud so everybody gets it.
Sure. Yeah, so during the process that we're going through, we always got to maintain one lane of traffic, or do our best to maintain one lane of traffic. There's times when we are doing those services where we'll be cutting off that access through there. But we maintain that one lane of traffic, one for emergency vehicles, but two also to help accommodate you guys with those deliveries or whatever might end up happening there. Go ahead.
I was going to say the second part of that question is, as a business owner, sometimes you got to get in there to unload stuff, pull stuff in, whatever. Is there some way of getting those passes or identification? You know, you pull up and they say, I'm the business owner down there, I need to pick some stuff up. Are we going to be allowed to do that?
Just,
If they're-
should I answer that?
Yeah.
Just the two foremen that'll be here for our company, for Dorner Incorporated right here, Tony and Doug, they're in our excavators. Just walk up to them, hey, in an hour, I've got a delivery coming, what's the best way to get our delivery in here? Just walk up to them, the inspector, they'll be there, they'll work with them. We've done a couple other downtowns and stuff like this in the past. You know, just say, hey, if you bring your delivery around, coming down 6th, to come down that way, that's the best we can help with it.
Yeah, that's cool. I just wanted to see if there was flexibility on that, because, you know, everyone just once in a while, hey, I need 30 minutes in front of my store to do this or that.
Correct.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as Todd alluded, we also, Kunkel Engineering has an inspector that'll be out there during the duration of the project. Whenever they're out there working, we're looking at adding a second one when we have multiple crews out there. So those people will be identifiable. I've actually got my main inspector that's going to be out there, his business card's in the back. His information has also been included on the schedule that's with you right now. I also want to add as well that I have my business card back there that I think you're probably going to want to grab. You can call that number 24/7. You can call it on the weekends, you can call it whenever it is. I do get calls for other projects all the time. Been out on the boat before and actually had to call you for a water leak that was happening, and long story short, we got it taken care of pretty promptly on a Saturday. So if there's anything that you guys see that might be an issue, concerns that you might have, let me know, and I will make sure that I get a hold of Dorner or somebody to help take care of those concerns. Going back to access and everything like that, whether it's deliveries or you yourself pulling up to your business, for garbage pickup, the city right now has talked with Dorner. They're planning on doing garbage pickup as early as possible, just so you guys know. So if you have city garbage pickup, you'd want to get it out there prior to 6 a.m. on those Tuesday mornings. So, and then if you have contracted services, the earlier you can do that, the better, if they need to get in there. And again, Dorner's been great in the past, helping assist, whether it's bringing garbage cans up to a corner or whatever it might end up being. They're there also to help out with that. So if you've got anything, again, just reach out to these gentlemen in their backhoes or our inspectors and let us know, and we'll do what we can to help out. I also want to add, so besides, and I know this isn't going to help you at all, but we're going to do our best to give you notifications of those scheduled shutdowns. This is an older water main that's in the downtown area, so there are times when if something's not marked right, or with the vibrating of the equipment, compacting the materials that we're putting back in place, there are times that might disrupt that existing water main, and it could break on any given time. And what we have to do then is shut down that or isolate that break and make those repairs. And when that happens, we'll have people marching into the buildings, knocking on doors, letting everybody know that, hey, there was an accident out here, we're going to get it repaired as quick as possible. These are unforeseen things, but they do have equipment on hand, hopefully, to make those quick repairs. If Dorner doesn't have it, our water utility department's great on having spare parts, so typically we can get those repairs done within a few hours of when the accident does happen. I also want to notify you guys as well that besides our utility work, the city-owned utilities, We Energies is anticipating doing some gas main relocation because their main line is in the way of some of our storm sewer that we're doing. So they have 3 locations. One is on the very south end by Walnut. There's one mid-project area, and each one of these locations is about 200 feet long. And then there's one on the very north end of the project. They're going to be coming in that second week. So there's technically going to be probably about 3 crews out there that second week with the 2 Dorner crews and the We Energies crew all working together to try to make sure that they can get this project done on time. They do anticipate a few little shutdowns and because when they do their tie-ins, so you'll have a small shutdown at that point in time, and they'll be having to schedule coming into your businesses to do those pilot relights and so forth that they do. So they will be communicating separately, but I believe they also wanted to communicate through you, Jess, from what they're telling me. But you can anticipate that work. Their work is anticipated only to take a month, so they'll be in and out of there, hopefully out of there by that second week of May.
That's one thing to add with the shutdowns. One thing I wish we would have said last time, if there's a way we could possibly put it on the website too. If the water main is shut off or has been accidentally hit, and when we turn it back on, you can make sure you run your faucets inside, especially at the salons and especially the restaurants. Get any air or any dirt particles that would have came in, open your faucets, get the air out, let the water run for about 5 minutes, flush your toilets. That's going to just help get any air or any sediment that would have gotten into it out. So,
If you have outside spigots,
yes.
that's probably one of the better ways to do it because a lot of you have like those screens on your water service or on your spigots within the homes. Those screens will will collect some of that, the minerals that are within those lines. So, yeah, go ahead.
Do you anticipate water utility from West Bend helping out with that? Because not every business owner is going to be adept at that, probably.
From my experience in the past, they don't do that work. They don't go in the homes. There's a liability issue of going in there and doing that work.
Well, they're flushing things out if they're coming in and working on a water meter.
True. I believe that that's work that has to be done, and they're not doing personal plumbing otherwise within your business or homes or residence. So in the past, I know they haven't done it. I'll be honest with you, I've done it. I've gone in there. I've had some people call, say, hey, I've got lower water pressure. I know exactly what's happening. It's those minerals. Or first, I'll try to direct them if they can do it themselves. Like just take that little screen off, rinse it out, let your water run for a while. Maybe go to the tub where you don't have a screen, let the water run through there. But that's the easiest way to do it.
The water utility will certainly be available to answer questions and help talk
Correct.
people through it.
Yep.
When you say notifying us, is it notifying the actual business or the building owner?
That's a great question. So we'll be notifying the business and then who's ever on the email as well. So because when we go and hand out these notifications, we're usually walking door to door to do so.
Because I know some businesses say, well, like my building owner told me that this is happening. So.
Yeah, like when we're doing residential work, we've got door hangers and so forth. So it'd be something, just a piece of paper. We'll walk in, we'll hand it to the bartender or whoever it might be, and hopefully they are smart enough to give it to the person that's in charge. So, what else am I gonna add? I did, so from the questions that we received last night, I wanted to go over a few things just to give you guys an idea of maybe the extent of the project. And so one of the things was, how far are you guys going up side streets and so forth? If I can get the update. So at the beginning of our project, this is Walnut Street. This is where they'll be beginning. You can kind of see within here, this heavier line, darker line right here is the extent of our work. That we'll be going most of the time on all of these intersection areas, like you can see up there on 5th. We'll be going to the end of radiuses just outside of our actual street segment. So we're going out to the end of radiuses on Walnut, following these radiuses up 5th Avenue. This heavier line there, that would be where our scheduled extents of our project are on Fifth. Moving down the way on Hickory, you can kind of see the same thing. We get around those bump outs and to the end of radiuses. We have a little bit of storm sewer work there that will be tying in that intersection and then restoring that area. Whoop, wrong way. 6th Avenue, very similar, getting around that radius and tying into the existing. The one unique one would be Cedar, and you don't see it very well on here, but we'll be going around and tying around in the radius. That south side of Cedar Street, there's an underside storm sewer there that we need to update. So we'll be extending that just short of 7th Avenue. There's a couple structures there, so we'll be disturbing the curb and gutter, a little bit of the sidewalk through there. There's a driveway approach that goes into an alleyway, so we're gonna have to redo that. So I don't know if any of you guys use that alleyway, but on Cedar Street, there'll be limited access when we're doing that concrete work and maybe a day or so when we pass through with the storm sewer. And then, as you can see at the end of the project, we're just tying everything back into State Highway 33 there. So that being said, I wanted to give you in general an idea of what we're looking at doing, general scope of work and the timeline. Todd, do you have anything that you might want to add?
Staging.
Staging? Okay, yep, that's right, staging. You're talking about the equipment, the trailer, so forth. Yeah.
Back to flag.
Yep. So with this project being so tight in the downtown area, let me go back here. We have limited areas where we can store our equipment and so forth. So right now our scheduled staging area is going to be this portion of 6th Avenue on the east side of 6th Avenue, just next to Old Settlers Park there. So they'll be taking up, there's some parking stalls there, and that's where we're gonna have 2 semi-trailers with some of their equipment, so they have easy access to some of their equipment and materials that they'll need. So that being said, this is the only area, so with traffic control that's gonna be going up, there'll be 2 barricades that are set at each intersection, just prior to the Main Street area. A block away, you'll see a sign that says road closed ahead. On those barricades, you're gonna see road closed. On those barricades, we're also planning on putting additional signage saying businesses are open. So there'll be other signage out there, and I will let Jess and others speak on that in a little bit. But there'll be other signage out there letting you guys know, or letting the residents know that your businesses are open. But this portion of 6th Avenue, we're actually going to cut it off. I believe it's Elm, that first intersection. We're going to cut it off just before Elm Street. So there'll be some staggered barricades that'll be placed there. But again, if someone's coming through there, they can still drive and turn back around and get back out. That question made me think of something else, and now I forgot it. But go ahead, ma'am.
So I just want to check the alley between, it would be Walnut and Hickory. Will that remain accessible?
We're not doing any work in the alleys except for that one piece right off of Cedar. So everything else should be accessible, yeah.
So would we be able to get to it from Hickory or get out?
I believe if it's, yes, you should, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
As it relates to safety downtown, are pedestrians allowed to cross the street to get to businesses? Or is the street going to be fenced off?
Yeah, so we'll have 5 dedicated areas where they can cross throughout the downtown area, where if we go through, dig through that, we'll have to replace it and get it back in place. It's basically going to be a hard surface. If we need some type of ramping along the edges from the existing pavers or walkway, we'll do that just to make sure that those are the areas. And so we'll have to identify those areas, or we'll have those areas identified for the pedestrians to know, like, hey, this is an area to cross. That helps out also with our contractor knowing, like, hey, as I come up to this area, I know there may be pedestrians crossing, so I'll be on the lookout for them as well. So.
Do you know where those areas are?
We have, I'm not
Really,
exactly.
we're just utilizing what's there for now. I'm gonna talk to you if we wanted some signs to designate there. That was something we talked about last night. So I don't know if we have to do an area map or something they put on the.
Yeah, so with the way that they're gonna start up their construction is, with everything kind of remaining in place until we start doing the major excavation, what they're planning on doing that first week too, before they start the water main work, is pulverizing just the trench locations. So the actual pavement itself, besides maybe, how wide is your pulverizer?
Well, the water main's gonna go 6 feet wide, the storm sewer will be 8.
Okay, so 6 to 8 feet wide trenches that they'll have. So they'll pulverize that material, but then compact it until they start digging through it again. But anyways, so the pavement, the rest of that pavement and structure that's out there, the curb and gutter, everything else will remain in place until they start that major excavation. So a lot of those crosswalk areas, actually you're planning on taking out those bump outs, aren't you?
We talked about it last night, we're gonna leave them here. There's a few things there in those bump outs.
That you-
Protect, well, there's your sanitary manholes.
Yeah.
And all that, so
Okay.
we're gonna leave them in.
So a lot of those areas, those crosswalk areas will still be identified and we'll still maintain those areas.
You said that east side of Summer's Triangle, Main Street is your staging area?
It would actually be the west side. So it's actually gonna be on 6th Avenue is gonna be the staging area.
6th Avenue, the parking area along there would be your staging area?
Correct, that's correct. Don't be afraid to speak up. I just want to say one other thing real quick. Sir, go ahead.
I just want to see if this is true or accurate or not. Is the properties on the river side getting $50,000 grant money per property?
Nope,
No.
There's nothing like that whatsoever going on?
that would be the city.
No, that's accurate. There was a facade program,
Correct, that program.
but that was 2 projects were awarded $25,000.
Are they all getting that grant right now?
2 projects.
I mean, like 2 projects?
2 projects were selected out of the.
2 different property
Yep.
properties?
Not every property that
Okay.
So I mentioned earlier that we have an inspector out on the project, possibly 2. I provided my contact information in the back for you as well. If there's any issues that you guys see at any given time, again, I don't want you to hesitate. I don't want you to wait for a weekly meeting to find out how we can resolve your concerns or issues. I'd like to hit it head on. So if you guys have any issues, please contact me. Please reach out to my inspector. That would probably be your first line of defense, is my inspector that's on site. And then he'll work with our contractor, and if it's still an issue, they'll notify me and let me know, and we'll get it taken care of. So.
Mitch, can you click back to 5th? There was a question before the meeting about parking on 5th and access on 5th and how far we're moving the project. Essentially, that is going to be as is, right?
Yep. If I could reach that high instead of jumping again. But the barricades that we're planning on setting up there are right at that point, right? Because there's a public parking lot that's up in the to the south of that. So our barricades basically blocking that will be right about where the 5th Avenue label is right now. So otherwise, you will have access throughout the rest of 5th Avenue from Walnut.
And all those parking spots that are there now will remain open on that road?
That is correct, except for right there where you're parking in front of the hardware store, I believe it is.
Yeah, well, make that clear, it's from Pearl of Canton to the hardware store. That's 5th Avenue. A lot of people think it's Main Street, it's actually 5th Avenue. That is all being reconstructed as well.
Not all of 5th
Right
Avenue.
there on the map.
Just from here down. Yep.
Go to, further to your right. Trust me, I've talked to you, Mitch, and I've talked to Matt.
Further to my right here?
Yeah, right there.
Yes, that's all being reconstructed, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So make that clear, because they're thinking they can park there. No.
No, not there.
Well, I mean, just so we realize.
Right by Tenny is basically that, is
Yeah,
what my
well,
question
I'm
is.
right next to
Yeah. Just
them. So
one-
that won't be there.
I'm sorry. One other question. You said there was going to be 2 shutdowns for our businesses. One is going to be for the water main, and it's like an hour-ish is what you're saying there.
For the main tie-ins, those usually take I don't want to say half a day because they're working really long days, but they can take anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. The service tie-ins are usually, we anticipate about a 2-hour time period for those tie-ins.
Okay. And the other one then would be for the flat work, or were you going to still be able to get into the building at all, or is this a time to tell people not to come that day?
So when we do the flat work, we'll do the removals, they'll set forms, get everything going. During that time period, there's not going to be any walks, so it'll be harder to transverse into your building. But once that concrete is poured, typically you can walk back on that concrete within a day, where you should be able to, as long as it's just pedestrian traffic, we don't want anybody driving on it, obviously, or anything like that.
That way, but then we're going to have to shut down that day, is that what you're saying?
If you have other access to your building, like through back doors or whatever, if you,
Without not crossing.
sure. That would be a decision that would be left up to you.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to make any promises that concrete, I've seen us walking on concrete within 5-6 hours of pouring it, but I don't know what the contractor's going to be comfortable with. I can't speak for them on how, because they're liable for that concrete. They provide a year warranty on that concrete, so if there's any issues with it that pop up after a year, they're coming back out and repairing that.
No,
So
that part of it's fine, I just need to know, to tell our people, I don't want to mess up the sidewalks. So
Sure.
Don't come that day, or will you be able to actually get into the building to work that day?
Right.
So,
Right.
I guess I have to
Sir.
Curb and gutter, sidewalk, obviously concrete. Is the new roadway asphalt or concrete?
The new roadway is asphalt.
Okay.
Yep. We did look at some cost comparisons, but just with the project costs, in this market right now, everything kept just going up and up. And so with the project costs all going up in general, we were not able to cover that concrete cost. Ma'am?
So the alleyway of Cedar and Main, like right there, how long is that, it's not up on the map, but how long is that like projected to take that we won't be able to access the alley?
So the storm sewer work that'll happen probably it'll be a matter of a couple hours for them to dig through there and get through that area to restore it where you can get access back through. The concrete work, they're probably not going to want you to drive on it for a period of 5 days or so. We could do, actually I could bring this up to our city engineer, what we call a high early concrete, which usually within 24 hours or a little bit more, we could get traffic back on there. It's a quicker curing time.
So when is that projected to start? Is that kind of wishy-washy?
Yeah, so those details don't really know quite yet. That's where I think those weekly meetings will help out, because we'll try to give them an update of, hey, we're working in this block, this is the work that we're doing, and it's going to take us a week to get through this block to do this work or whatever it might end up being. So, ma'am?
Well, this may be a very specific question to our business, but how much vibration are you expecting? I'm wondering if, we're gonna come in and things will be off the shelves or anything like that.
Do you know what the soils?
It's a gravel base going back in with clay, so I mean.
Yeah.
Will you feel it in your body, possibly, depending on what the structure of the building is? Is stuff gonna fall off the walls? I highly doubt it. I'm not gonna sit here and say it can't. It depends how big your nail is in the wall.
Yeah, it depends on the soils that are really around the area. So if the clay soils that we're expecting down there will take that vibration a little bit and disrupt it before it would get to your building. I'm guessing you're probably still going to feel a little bit. If it's harder soils, rock, whatever it might be in the ground, that'll carry that out. And yes, it would probably knock off something off a shelf.
The noise is gonna be more of a nuisance than
Yeah,
vibration.
yeah.
If this makes my record player skip,
I can't make any promises.
I know it's a separate project, but can we get an update from the city on the Riverwalk timeline, construction, concrete pouring, landscaping?
So yesterday we had a pre-construction meeting for our project. Mike Yentz from Park, Rec, and Forestry was there to give us a little bit of an update. They're going to be having concrete trucks coming in beginning in April. through May to begin all of their flat work, their concrete work in the back there. So I would anticipate a lot of that work being completed sometime with final restoration in June.
We'll see some activity starting tomorrow on the covered alley, the walkway, and that is being regrown and starting as soon as tomorrow. The alley itself will probably take a back seat to the flat work that Mitch just mentioned. As soon as practicable, the river walk from Veterans to the whole thing.
Now's the time to ask if you've got any questions. Maybe I'll let Jess quickly speak maybe on these meetings that they're looking at holding.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Oh,
Again, that's
yeah, it's not real. It's still early. If you didn't get a handout, there are several others in the back of the room. I can get one for you if you need one. But it has the contact information for the inspector that's going to be on site from Kunkel. His name is Jerry. Again, don't wait. If you have something going on at that time, please call that person. You don't need to wait until our weekly meeting. So on Wednesdays, there will be a conference call that you can just call into, get an update on what's coming the next week, and bring your questions as well during that time. So that information for the weekly calls is on the sheet. It will take place at 3 o'clock starting, the first one will be April 12th. There's also a project webpage on the City of West Bend's website. So if you go to the homepage, scroll down a bit, there's a 2023 Main Street reconstruction page. I'm building out FAQs as we get more and more answers and timelines, and it's a great resource. So if you have further questions, please go there as contact information for everybody. And then we do have a sign-up sheet here as well. We send emails, written communications, text messages. We're working to have as much contact information for all business, property owners, and residents downtown. So please provide your contact information. Feel free to stop by. And then sort of the last reminder is the bid board does meet every week or every month, and they will have continual updates. I'm sure Mark Allen's here and can touch more on bid if he'd like. Would you like to?
Sure.
Here you
I'll
go.
take the fake mic.
Great.
I'm representing the bid board at this point. The bid will be having its regular monthly meetings. They happen on the first Tuesday of the month. Generally, they are here in the council chambers at 8:15. We're going to try and carve out a portion of our meetings for comment about the construction project. We've on the meeting in April, that coincides with Election Day, and there'll be a poll at that location. So we will be meeting at the same time, 8:15 a.m. at the school district offices down here. I think it's 735 South Main, just south of Decorah, or just north of Decorah. So anybody would like to attend, please do. We've also got a committee called the Marketing Committee that's specifically looking to publicize the project in terms of keeping interest in coming down and patronizing downtown businesses. Our next meeting is April 11th. At
7:30.
Yeah, at 7:30, and I believe it'll be council chambers. So if there's anybody that's interested in what we're doing and how we're publicizing this, one of the things we are doing is we're putting up a lot of signage so that people not only know where the businesses are and that the businesses are open, but they know how to get to the businesses from parking and how to find parking. Any questions for the bid board? I know specifically we have one bid board member who lived through the last reconstruction who would be more than happy to share his experiences with you. That is our president, Mike Hussar. So feel free to stop by Hussar's, except on Wednesdays when they're not open. But Go ahead and ask Mike. He can tell you what it was like the last time we went through this. Thank you. Big Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you. Sir?
Yeah, you said you're gonna keep one lane open. Are taxis able to get through there? Would you not want that?
No, we're not going to want taxis going through the job site. The more traffic that we invite in there, the more of a liability that it actually falls on our contractor. It's their site at that time.
We had actually thought about maybe even getting a shuttle or something to pick up some of our clients and stuff, but that's not something that you want to have happen.
Not necessarily, no. Ma'am?
What about handicap? What can we suggest to our clients for that?
If you have somebody that obviously has a disability or something like that, and you need to get them pulled up closer to a building, we will more than accommodate that, yes, absolutely. We don't want somebody trying to traverse across the roadway if it's rough or whatever it might end up being. So if you can get to the front of a building to drop that individual off, yes, please do so. But again, we just ask you to maybe contact our inspector, contact the foremans or whatever, just so they know that you're coming through there, and we'll accommodate that.
How are we gonna know when that happens?
That you have somebody with,
With an ADA or a semi-truck coming down the road with a delivery, how are we supposed to orchestrate all that? When we're open for business, we're locked in our spots. As a restaurant owner, I can't leave my line to go help a disabled person get to the front door.
sure, I guess, I mean, that'd be communication. If they're coming in the next couple of weeks, I would hope that you're talking with some of those.
They're pulling around the corners.
I understand that.
So what do we do now?
I would still try to get them to the front door. And I would hope that they would, they're still gonna, if they have somebody like that, I'm guessing they're gonna.
Lucky enough to have anybody come downtown anymore for the next 8 months.
I'm hoping that we
We already have a problem.
provide enough signage and that everybody, yeah. So one of the other things, just to add on to the ADA accessibility, one of the other things we talked about was on the side streets, what we're looking at doing is trying to sign a couple, like a spot or two extra for handicap parking to get those people closer to your facilities. So hopefully that will help as well. But the dedicated crosswalk areas that we have, they should be in a condition where those people could be able to cross in those areas.
And then as far as deliveries, they see a UPS truck coming or something, they're going to let that through.
They're gonna, yep.
Well, and that's one of the areas, like, your deliveries.
Yeah.
Come and talk to the guys.
Yeah,
And
but if
we'll
you
tell
don't
you to
know,
come
then
down
I don't-
6.
If you don't know, then yes.
They'll see a UPS driver and they're gonna let them.
Well, that or you're just, hopefully the UPS driver
We'll
realizes,
see.
you know,
Yeah.
they come around the block also.
Yeah.
I mean, there's such,
That's-
I can't give a precise location where we're gonna be in different
Right,
situations.
exactly, but the one lane of traffic is for that obvious reason.
So it'll just be left open then, correct?
What's that?
It'll just be left open then, to her point. We're gonna need a lane always open. UPS guys are local, they know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have some of my trucks coming from Chicago, they
Yep.
don't know what's going on.
Yep.
If they can't get through, they're going back to Chicago and I don't have enough product to sell.
Yep.
They're not gonna call me, they're not gonna try and chase down a gentleman in a hard hat.
Well, I would also hope that you would reach out to your vendor to let them know the construction's happening.
I have 12 different trucks coming one day.
Okay. I don't know what kind of an answer you're going to want from me at this point in time.
The gate would have to be left open for a one-way constantly, correct?
Unless we're doing a water service
Do
crossing.
you sit down with the salesperson to order your product?
Absolutely.
I would ask your salesperson to maybe relay that.
Any of their concern.
I grew up in a restaurant. I know that there's contact there, and I know that you could reach out to them.
We all know that everybody's shorthand on workers, and the workers they have aren't the best ones. So this truck driver's coming down the road with a delivery, sees what's going on, he's going back home.
It's gonna be disruptive, and we're gonna do the best that we can
Yep.
to assist.
He's not gonna try to get his pack to my house, my restaurant.
I would hope that he would. We're going to do our best to accommodate any trucks, any deliveries, anything that does come to that area.
Be open, wide open, so that we're not communicating with anybody, scheduling.
So your hearing loss is not going to be, so, and stop with that. We're gonna do the best that we can to make it
Before it was
accessible.
closed, but now it's gonna be open.
It's not gonna be open.
It's not.
The road is closing.
It's not,
April
it's
3rd.
closed.
When Mitch said it'll be lane open for emergencies, it's for chief and fire chief to assess.
Yep.
And we're
Thanks,
all
Mitch.
businesses getting out of pocket. And we're work with you for delivery, but it's not gonna be open for delivery. It's going to be, the road is gonna be closed, and they're gonna assist deliveries getting in the best that they can, but it's not.
This crew right here?
Yep, these guys.
If they come in, if you come in up and say, hey, I got a truck coming in.
We're not gonna know.
I don't know that either, sir.
Life is a lot easier.
I don't know that.
Well, good morning, everyone. Just out of respect for everyone else in the room, we can continue these conversations maybe after the meeting, but just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page, that it's always about public safety. It's always about the safety of the traveling public, of the pedestrians. Very proud to be part of this team to navigate this. We know it's going to be an inconvenience. Just like when you would do an update in your kitchen, you're not going to always have access to work through all those things, but we'll work through it. We'll continue to communicate as best we can. But from safety aspect, the roadway is going to be closed. You'll have to make some adjustments, but I've heard every single meeting I have been in. I've been impressed with the contractors. I've been impressed with our city staff, of all of the tools that we will have in place. All you have to do is communicate, and that is ask, and it will be done as best as we can. So we'll work through that, but from a public safety standpoint, it is about the safety of the crew and the citizens and the people that will continue to use the downtown through this project. So we'll continue that conversation later. But thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Last thing I wanted to add, and we can continue with more conversation if that's what people choose to do. If there's anything specific that you guys want to talk about after this meeting, I'll be sticking around for a little while. If it's anything specific about the front of your building, that maybe if there's some grades are changing or something like that, I'll be happy to try to answer those questions. I have a set of plans up here for that purpose. So anything in general, or if you're not comfortable speaking right now, feel free to come up to me after the meeting and ask those questions. Anybody else have anything? You have a question. You're smiling. No? Okay.
I'm just smiling.
Go ahead.
Okay, so when our customers come down, where are they going to park? Is there going to be any designated parking areas? Is there going to be any kind of shuttling of people from specific areas to get back in?
There won't be a shuttle service. We did explore it as part of the bid transportation group. But the parking will remain the same as it is today, minus the Main Street parking. So customer parking zone that has been recently put in place, all of the public parking lots that are nearby, that will all still exist and be there and available. So.
Anyone else? Sir.
Is mail delivered to residents all summer long?
Mail delivery should continue. That should absolutely continue. We have to maintain mail delivery. Jay, do you have anything to add?
Just the thanks.
Yeah, if you guys don't have anything else, I really do appreciate it. I am also really excited about this project. We've been working on this project for a year and a half with planning, designing, and so forth, and we are finally to the stage that is, I consider the best part about it. So thank you for coming. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Don't forget to grab a card or a schedule or anything like that in the back.